Welcome to Spiritual Changemakers, the podcast that guides you through tough times with practical tools and inspiring stories. I'm Andrea Thomas, your host and the Sacred Transitions Coach. Join us as we hear from spiritual changemakers who have connected with their higher power and overcame adversity. Whether you are navigating a difficult transition or seeking to deepen your spiritual practice, our podcast provides guidance to help you find magic in the change. Come on this journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and transformation with us and unlock your potential to become your best self. Welcome, beautiful souls, to a new episode on Spiritual Changemakers. I'm Andrea Thomas, your host. And today I come to you after quite a few weeks, I would say, since I've done a solo podcast with a subject, with something very deep to my heart, very close to my heart, and at the same time, very vulnerable. Because I'm going to share with you the space I have been in these past few weeks, and I would say a lot these past 2 years. And it's called the void. That you can call it that. Some of you have heard about it as the void. Some of you have maybe heard about it as the dark night of the soul. But it's that space in between. So I'm gonna walk you through where I have been and what have I done during this time to help myself to move through this space, and hoping those that are going right now through a similar experience like me, that you're gonna find some hope, you're gonna find some inspiration on how to move forward. Because I can tell you that being in this space in between, where you are pretty much like shedding your old self, shedding your old identity, your old life, and you are in that process of recreating yourself, birthing a new version of you, but you're not there yet, and you're like just in the middle. It's, for me, has been one of the most, I would say, uncomfortable places to be in, despite the fact that when we go through the hard time, through the hard challenges, because for me, this void has happened after I've been through major life changes. And I think a lot of you are going to relate if you have been right now either through maybe a divorce, a breakup, you lost your job, a loss. If you have been through something that has shaken you fully, could be your whole core, then you really want to listen to this episode. And for me, I would say the major void that came, this space in between, was after the loss of my life partner, which was a little bit over 2 years ago. And if you have been following me, if you have been following my journey, listen to my podcast episodes, you know that my story, it's a quite a unique one, I would say. And the fact that I moved to United States at the age of 24, and I met my life partner, and then a few years after we have been together, more precisely 6.5 years, he got sick, he got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and then we've been on that journey for 9 months, and he transitioned on the other side afterwards. I would say that was the first major event that shaken me off. And I left after that to travel the world. And I told myself, I'm going on my healing journey. And while I was like, okay, I feel like I'm feeling better. I feel like I finally can step out into the world again. I feel like creating, and I was like starting to feel how this new self, it's emerging more and more. And I was like making plans this year for like going to Vietnam. I was in Thailand where I spent four months this year. And I was like, then I'm gonna go to Vietnam, and after that I'm gonna go to Europe. And I was like making all these plans. And I'm like, wow, I finally feel better to make plans. Can you relate that when you are like in a void, in a uncertain place, you're like holding yourself back to make plans? That has been me, which in the past I was a control freak. Like I was trying to control everything and every outcome and everyone in my life by going on this journey of traveling and healing. One of my big intentions was to release control. So because of that, I just went with the flow for like a year and a half in my life, which was totally new. And now I was finally getting to the space where I'm like, "Okay, I'm making plans. I know what's happening with my life. I know what's next." And then boom, life happened again. And what happened, it was that I was in Thailand and I got the sudden news that my dad passed away. And this is still so recent when I'm recording this podcast right now, because it just happened a little bit over a month ago. And my dad was not sick. Nothing major to expect, to expect his dad. Then I was calling him for his birthday to say happy birthday. And I noticed he was not answering, and I started to worry. And outside, I started feeling that something is not good. And it was 10 p.m. at night in Thailand. And I was like, oh, something is not right. He's not answering. And then I see a call coming from my neighbor, which never called. She never called me since I've been away. And I just knew it in that moment that something has happened. And she told me that my dad passed away. And I just, in that moment, I'm just like, I just felt how my like life turned upside down again. And I couldn't believe it. So I searched for an airplane ticket, and within 3 days I was in Romania to make it to his funeral. And that incident felt like it brought me almost like right back at that space. So like I've been feeling lost. I've been feeling like I have no joy, no excitement for life, for doing anything, for creating, for being out there, for talking to people, being surrounded by people. I've been actually searching so much to just be by myself, with myself. And this is what I have been doing these past few weeks. But being in this space now, again, for over a month, when before I was in it for, I would say a year and a few months with ups and downs, I started analyzing and reflecting on who I am right now, the person I am compared with who I was 2 years ago when my life partner transitioned on the other side. And I was like, it took me so long for myself, like my human self judging that it took me so long to recover somehow after the passing of my partner. But now going again through a loss, which is very different because is my dad, and the way it has happened, it's also so it's all different. And the grief in general is not going to show up the same when you experience it with different people. It's gonna feel different, and you're gonna have a different relationship with it. And I told myself, I don't have to go through the same process again and wait a year and a half or 2 years to feel that I'm getting back to myself, or that I'm rebuilding myself, that, I have again an excitement and a desire for life. And I started working on myself. And I literally had a huge breakthrough yesterday after I started doing all different type of courses and going inwards and meditating. And I started a course called Champion Mindset. And the moment I started working on that course, I had this breakthrough of like, oh my God, I've been working so much these past few years on my energy, on my emotions, on paying attention to my thoughts, but I wasn't fully focused on my mindset. And 7 years ago, when I started on my personal development journey, this is how I started because I realized my mindset was not in the right place to take action. And now, yesterday, I had this epiphany, this breakthrough that, wow, I should actually start on this process of rebuilding myself with my mindset because it all starts here. And when we have a good mindset, a healthy mindset, then we create different type of emotions and then we take different type of action. But it all starts from here. And I'm like, oh my God, how could I have like forgotten this? And it's so funny because I was talking to a friend of mine and we were talking about these processes, of healing, of taking action, of building a coaching business and all the like all the energy, the effort, the resilience that it takes to build a business. And I would say especially if it's a service-based business where you feel that you sell yourself pretty much, you are your brand. And we were like, oh my God, how could we forget this? Like these are fundamentals. But our job throughout life, throughout this life, is to just remember. Like we do things, they work for us, and they're like, okay, I see the results. And then we move on to something else and we forget what is it that has worked, especially when we started. So part of our growth journey, of our healing journey is for us to remember and to don't be afraid to go back to fundamentals. How I'm doing right now, like literally going back to work again on my mindset because the person I am right now and the person I'm working on building, on creating, on shifting this new identities, it requires a different type of mindset, which it's gonna build different type of habits and showing up differently in the world. So I want to share with you some very important things that have helped me move forward in this void. And the first thing is trust. And this is major. This is major, guys. And what do I mean with trust? It's first and foremost, for you to like truly feel this deep connection and trust in God or universe or however you want to call it, divine, angels, however you want to name it. But in order for you to be able to move forward when life presents us with this type of major challenges, which they are a blessing in disguise, it's required from us a lot of trust. A lot of trust that, okay, life is happening for me. It's happening for my growth, for my evolution. And if it's happening for me, as one of my mentors was saying, Melanie, which I have just been doing an identity course with her. And she was saying, if life happenings is happening for me, now what? So if you take each and every experience from this perspective, you bring back the power within yourself and the responsibility, and not feeling that everything is out of your control. Because you bring it back to self, and you remember that what it is in your control is how you show up at each and every given moment. Because there is no human being on this earth that is not experiencing challenges. It's just part of life. It's part of being human. And when we make peace with that, and when we are like, okay, challenges, difficult times are just part of life, and they are part of helping us grow, because you know that the majority of people, they make changes in their lives only when they are like at that 95% like pain point. There are very few people who create a shift and the change in their life out of desire. The majority of people are really like pushed out of pain. And that's how they create a shift that they need to create in order to live more in alignment with their heart and with their soul and with their higher self. So if you look at it, okay, I trust that whatever life gives me, and when life happens, I trust that it's happening for me. So have that trust in God, and then in yourself, that if you are presented with this challenge, it's because you do have the power to overcome it. And I believe that so strongly. Because I remember when I was almost at the end of my powers, where I felt like I just cannot do it anymore. And it was the day when my life partner passed away. I was in the hospital, and I've been with him in the hospital for over a month now, and we were pretty much just waiting. We knew he's going to transition, and we were just waiting. We didn't know when that day is gonna be. And I remember that day, I woke up and I started crying so badly. And I was looking in the mirror, and I just started praying. And I said, God, I know you gave me this task because I can take it and I can do it until the end. So please continue giving me the power, the strength to take it to the end, to be here and to fulfill whatever I'm here to fulfill. And I just started praying for strength. And this is another important piece that I want to bring to you: the power of prayer when you are in the void, when you feel lost. Because no one can help you if you're not asking for help. And that applies with your in your physical plane, the people in the family and whoever is around you. And it also applies with the divine, with God. God can only help you if you are praying. And is there a right or a wrong way to pray? I don't think so. But I want to share with you a beautiful prayer that I have heard on a podcast from Manifestation Babe. So I'm quoting her here. And she said, to talk to God, talk to Source. That is, as you were talking to your friend or family member or a lover. So just talk to God as you're talking with someone very close to you. And when you talk to God, just say, hey, I'm really struggling right now. Can you please show me any sort of sign that I am deeply loved and taken care of, that I have nothing to worry about? Will you just show me a miracle today? Show me something to celebrate. Show me something to see you are thinking of me. And I have done this prayer, and I swear to you that I have seen miracles. I have seen miracles happening in my life with this prayer. So I highly encourage you to do it and truly feel it, because that's a very important piece when we pray, to do it from the heart, to feel it. So I shared with you trust, I shared with you prayer. And then I also want to share with you another important thing, which is self love, compassion, and nourishment. Right now, you are in a space, in a time in your life where probably you need a lot of love, a lot of self love. And I highly encourage you to take it slow. Don't push yourself, don't force yourself to do things. And this is where the trust comes in, that you are taken care of no matter what. And I know not everyone has the luxury or the possibility, of just not working and taking care of themselves. And I have to say that I'm very blessed for being able to have that space in my life, because of how I have created my life to just take time and be with myself and allow myself to be guided. And if you don't have that space and time in your life, create how how much time you can, even if it's just a few minutes a day. And you can do that. You can do a few minutes a day where you just ask yourself, okay, what do I need in this moment? How can I nourish myself? How can I love myself more? How can I give myself what I need in order to move forward with more ease and grace? And this is a very, very important piece, because now it's not a time to force things. And it's also not a time, I would say, to make big, bold decisions. It's a time to lean back, to trust, to surrender, and to allow yourself to be guided in what is next for you. Because if you feel, oh my God, but it's so freaking uncomfortable, I get it. Because that's exactly where I have been. It's been so uncomfortable. I'm like, I just want to make plans. And I want to launch things and I want to do that. But then I have to take a step back and ask myself, okay, what is the place that I want to take this to action from? Is it truly because I feel so excited and so inspired to do all of these things? Or is it because I don't feel good enough if I don't take action? I actually feel guilt and shame for not doing much and for allowing myself to be more with myself, with my healing, with the grief process, with the void. And then the more I reflected upon it, the more I realized that the reason why I wanted in the past to take action, it was from this overachiever, from this cushion force. And then I told myself, no, this is my old self. I'm not gonna go back to my old patterns and my old behaviors, from which all I knew was to like work super hard and take action from this like very masculine, like, let me prove you that I can do it and I will do it. I'm like, no, now I want to create things from a different space, from a different place, and to come from this alignment, to come from the guidance that I'm receiving. And I want to take action from feeling inspired and excited. And this is where I also had another question where I was like, but now should I just wait to be inspired? Can I make myself inspired? And what I realized is that one way to get to the place of feeling more inspired is like working on myself, working on my mindset, working on feeling everything, working on like being and giving myself what I need in this moment. And this is how the inspiration and the excitement is coming. But not because, oh, let me see, what is that action? What is that action? And let me, just put it out there. No, that's not attractive, isn't it? Like, just think about it of when someone like takes action and it's uh from this place of like, I have to do it, I have to do it, I have to do it. And people perceive the energy more than anything. They perceive your energy more than your words, first and foremost. So really give yourself the time and the space to rebuild yourself. And I promise you that if you do that and if you have patience, because this process, the void, requires a lot of patience, which comes with the trust. And I promise if you do that, the rewards that you're going to reap afterwards are going to be like out of this world. And I truly believe that because first and foremost, I believe that for myself right now. And then I can believe it for you too. Let me know, send me a DM with what has been your biggest takeaway from this podcast episode. And share with me, how is your heart? How are you doing? How are you feeling? I would love to hear from you. And thank you so much for tuning in, for coming in, for being on this journey with me. And I want you to know that I love you. I appreciate you. And I believe in you so deeply. I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Spiritual Changemakers Podcast. To stay connected and help us reach more people like you, please subscribe, follow, and leave a comment. Join our community of spiritual changemakers on social media to connect with like-minded individuals and continue the conversation. Remember, the power to create positive change is within you. Keep showing up as your best self, and let's keep the magic of change alive. Until next time.